Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mebois Podcast. This is the first episode of Season 2, and with it being the first episode since Season 2, and with it having been a while since we last recorded, we thought we'd spice things up and add some live gameplay elements. Well, live to us as we record. So we're playing Dominion, which, for those of you who don't know, Dominion's basically, would you say it's the OG deck building game, Josh?
I'm sure someone will come out of the woodwork and say I'm wrong, but yeah, I think it's pretty much the original deck building game.
You're wrong. First comment we get.
Well, no, you were just testing me. You tell me I'm wrong.
So yeah, I mean, it's a game we've been playing for a while. So this is the first time we're playing while recording, so forgive us if our focus may err from here to there. But
I like how your focus is immediately lost in the middle of that explanation.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since we recorded. The last thing we recorded was February of 2020, which is a month before the global pandemic. So a lot has changed. So I kind of want to talk about things that maybe wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the pandemic. I'm doing my best to not say the word because I know YouTube cracks down on that. Let me get a militia. So yeah, I think in terms of TV shows, I don't think I would have started watching The X-Files if it wasn't for, being home all day and just looking for things to watch. So that's what I did today. I finally started watching The X-Files for the first time. It's a show, when I was a kid, my dad grew up watching a lot, a show that I was terrified of as a kid. But I'm giving it a shot, kind of as something I feel like I'm watching more as background noise, not necessarily to follow along.
Oh man. What an admission.
Just something for me to watch while I'm also doing something else. But I know you're a big X-Files fan.
Yeah, I like to save the background watching until when I'm watching through a second time or third time. I think I've watched through 2 times, if I'm not mistaken.
2 times.
Fully.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when I say fully, I just mean the first 9 seasons. I never gave.
Right, not the new 2.
Yeah, not the remake, or I don't know what the hell you would call it, the return.
The sequel?
A chance. The squeakquel. Yeah, I never gave it a chance. But yeah, the funny thing is I'm a fan of it, but I didn't watch it as a kid, which maybe that's why I'm a fan of it, because I wasn't scared of it. I don't know, those bad memories.
I think for me, I don't know. It was just a certain episode I saw was particularly freaky, so it just left a lasting impression that it was a scary show.
Was it the one with the water creature?
Some sort of pipe? Maybe it was some sort of wood creature. I think it ran across.
Oh yeah, you told me about this.
Yeah, ran across multiple episodes. I could be wrong about that because they sort of end episodes kind of on a cliffhanger. Like, it's not like the traditional way of ending an episode, if that makes sense. So it could have been
like
just that.
Remind me, it's been a little while.
For example, I was just watching the one about the New Jersey Devil. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yes.
Right, it turned out to be some woman in the woods who lived there her whole life. She was basically a Neanderthal.
Oh man, I love that show. It's so corny. Also, I think it's called the Jersey Devil, not the New Jersey Devil.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Jersey Devil then. Yeah, but they ended that episode with like her kids popping out of the ground, like scavenging, basically.
Oh, yeah. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
So
it's not a complete conclusion. It's like, oh, this thing is still going on.
They leave it a little open because I guess as these things are mysteries, it's good to leave it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one that scared me was basically like this. I want to say like a moss man, like a man made of moss with red eyes, and I remember the episode they didn't find him, and the end of it, he was under someone's bed.
Oh, that's scary for a kid.
Yeah, so that's why that left a lasting impression on me.
I feel like I remember the moss. Well, I remember somebody with red eyes, although there's probably a bunch of things with red eyes through the whole series.
Yeah, one of the first ones was a guy with orange eyes.
It just reminds me of
The Witcher.
Goosebumps series. Oh yeah, The Witcher too. Something that The Witcher and Goosebumps share. You know what I'm talking about with that is Goosebumps, right? Where the intro is like,
oh, like
it goes to the dog on the porch and its eye. Oh, where its eyes green.
It might be
I think
green.
its eyes might have been green.
It might have been green. They might have switched up colors every now and then. But yeah. The title card sort of had the eyes.
Let me not get us too off track as you play a fucking militia on me.
All right, while you focus on militia, so I guess the first thing I'm getting used to with watching the show is how many episodes there are, because I feel like that's something that's sort of shifted in the world of television, is we don't get as many episodes as we used to. That's probably as a result of streaming being a bigger player. People don't want to consume as much.
Well, I mean, sort of like it sort of is what it is, and it's like people consume more, like binging, but the individual episodes tend to be shorter.
Yeah. So 20 some odd episodes, 40 minutes. It's a decent amount to take in after a long time of not doing that. And I think I mentioned to you earlier, I accidentally gave myself spoilers, not like major plot spoilers, just the fact that I couldn't remember who was Mulder and who was Scully. So I Googled Mulder and Scully, and it gave me
just pages and pages of porn.
I'm sure that exists too. But it literally just said Scully is the FBI, blah, 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 and she's a skeptic for 7 seasons. And I'm just like, holy shit. 7 years of her not believing is a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we've talked about this, but that is probably it's one of the most charming things about the show at the beginning, and then one of the most tiring things about it towards the end is that they sort of make Scully a one-note character in some ways. I mean, so is Mulder, really.
Yeah.
And that's part of the charm, but that charm wears thin, 7 seasons in.
Right. I mean, I texted you immediately. I said, the fact that she's missing out on these extraterrestrial moments as Mulder walks into the room and she's a little behind, but the amazing thing is happening while he's there, and then by the time she comes in, it's all over. That's gonna annoy me very, very soon, because it's happened basically every episode. 7 episodes.
Just imagine how Mulder feels. I mean, it sort of works because it's like, as soon as I try to have a thought, you play a fucking militia.
That's the great thing about militia.
Yeah.
Look at that province.
Jesus. Already behind. It's sort of like Scully not believing, Mulder being like the persecuted outcast.
Yeah.
Is sort of a charming dynamic at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then as it goes on, it gets very tiring.
Yeah, I can imagine, because it's sort of like this dude is solving every case, but you're still treating him like shit.
Well, yeah, I guess it's like he's sort of solving them, but the way he's solving them, like, how do you write that in a report?
Oh,
Like,
still
if you
my turn.
can't ever
Yeah.
prove, yeah, if you can't ever prove that it happened, how can you how can the FBI report that this case is closed?
Yeah.
So it's sort of, I don't know. There's some suspensions of disbelief. Well, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief in the
Yeah.
show, but Harbinger, get back.
I sort of think Exiles might have benefited in terms of the way it's packaged. Could be benefited if it was made more recently with streaming and all that. You can get more compact stories, and you don't have to drag out this Scully is a skeptic thing for so long. Probably would have happened sooner if it was made more recently. But at the same time, a big part of the charm of the show, I feel like, is the technology aspect of it and how they're limited because it's the 90s.
Oh, damn, I just made a mistake. Yeah. No, I feel you on that. Like, I don't know what the format was of the newer show as far as length.
I wouldn't know either.
Because I don't know if that showed on TV. I mean, I guess it probably did somewhere, but I feel like it was more of a streaming thing. But yeah, it is very fun to see like the old styles and the old phones.
Yeah.
And it's sort of not old enough to because I'm not really into like the whole aesthetic of like back in the day, and then mix that with like extraterrestrials or stuff like that, or sci-fi. I don't really like, because a lot of movies and shows try to do that with like early day, but it's sort of like, when did X-Files come out? It's like 80s,
I think 90s.
90s. I wanted to say 90s, but maybe it's early 90s.
Let me look it up. Oh wait, I got this in full screen. Let me got The X-Files. 93.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, 93. So, I'm not really sure what that means for technology exactly, but I'll have to
Not
discard
everybody
that.
had a computer yet.
No, and I guess the internet wasn't really.
It wasn't quite what it is today. I think the internet was already, it already existed.
It existed,
sure.
But it wasn't like as prevalent, I guess.
5 points. I realized for like me talking about the game over here, you're recording. I'll have no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about, because I mean, I sort of enjoy, for me, going back to the sort of length topic. That's what she said.
I try to time my militia just so
for whenever I'm starting a sentence.
Yeah, like, all right, if he's in the middle of it, okay, good.
For the fact that I enjoyed the X-Files for like sort of like that comfort food aspect, like just the snuggling under a warm blanket feel.
Right.
I don't mind that it's like 50 minutes long. But certainly if you're trying to watch it all and you're used to like watching a lot of stream content that's shorter form, I could imagine that it's a bit draining and a bit intimidating to start, although you've taken the hard step.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I guess my final point about X-Files is like I said, I'm I'm sort of treating it as background noise, and part of the reason for that is just because how many episodes there are, and also I thought maybe there would be some sort of overarching story that would sort of dominate each season, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It's basically a crime show. Every episode's different, and for that reason, I feel like I can treat it as a background noise type show.
I mean, it does get an overarching story, which is probably my least favorite part about it.
Right.
Because I like the whole, like, I don't know if procedural is the right word, but basically, the episodic format where you can not watch an episode in between and it still works. Apologize for the train noise.
I mean,
viewers at home.
Yeah, I've given more random shows a chance. Like I watched the show Longmire about a sheriff in Wyoming.
Sounds very interesting when you put it like that.
It wasn't as long. It was 5 seasons and 13 episodes, maybe. About the same length, but essentially the same thing. Every episode a different crime, but they definitely had a big focus on the overarching story. So it was definitely more draining in that sense. You kind of did have to watch as you go along.
Treasures. I'm getting all these action cards, and I feel like I'm screwing myself.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the big move here. A lot of action cards.
It's coming. I just gotta. I feel like I haven't bought enough silver this game. Let me do that.
I don't think I have either. But
we're just both buying actions. Well, you got 5 more victory points than me, so you've been doing something.
I got lucky though. To be honest, it was a couple silvers, and the actions gave me a coin, so it allowed me to do that. Let me autoplay the treasures, but you've been doing a lot of watching of. Oh shit! What happened? My browser just minimized. You've been watching a lot of Star Trek recently. How's that going?
It's going. I mean, I feel like I've sort of hit maybe my least favorite series so far, which I don't know if Star Trek fans will agree with me. Well, I started off watching The Next Generation. That was my first Star Trek. That was 7 seasons. Jean-Luc Picard, probably the most recognizable.
Is that also Star like Trek 7 series with 20 some odd episodes? Sorry,
yeah, it's like 7.
20 some odd with 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's basically 40 to 50 minutes, 7 seasons, 25 episodes a season, more or less. Which is quite a lot when you think about it. I don't know how I got through all that content. And not only that, but then I watched Deep Space Nine, which is basically the same thing in terms of length, which is Captain Sisko. And then, oh man, I got to put something on top.
Oof, look at all these cards.
About to start chaining shit together. Oh, actually, I wonder if you could chain stuff together if you got 2 Harbingers. I should really think about that. If you get like an infinite combo going.
I mean, there's the that card's not in this game, but what is the laboratory? We can just keep chaining. The laboratory,
the one that draws cards.
I think.
Well, like it draws 2 cards and gives you an action or something. I mean, that's very strong. Although it doesn't
something like that.
Infinite.
Fuck you! I got a moat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I don't know why I'm counting. It says right there.
When you have played. Let's see. Oh, were you counting my gold or my
Yeah, I was
my active card?
no, I was counting how much gold you had. I was looking
3
at
buys and 7 gold.
how Market had one, Poacher had one, and I was counting there instead of it says right there.
I'm making like the most complicated hand I can out of all these cards. But yeah, so I watched 7 seasons of TNG, 7 seasons of Deep Space Nine, which are like basically like the 90s into the early 2000s, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think Deep Space Nine goes into the early 2000s. I can't remember. If not, then the next season does, or the next series does. And then the third, I went back to the original series, which
Shatner and Nimoy.
Nimoy, Takei, and Scotty, who I still can't remember the name of, which is probably my least favorite series so far, which may be a controversial take.
Why is that?
Well, I feel like the original, like I'm sure people have strong feelings about it.
No, I mean, why is it your least favorite?
Oh, I see. I mean, it's just really, it's more dry, I guess is how I would describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to bear in mind that it's basically created 30 or so years before TNG, I believe, which is a long time. And
That's
so
true.
not only like,
and TNG was a long time ago as well.
Yeah, I mean comparatively.
TNG was what, the 90s as well?
Yeah, I think it was like around 95 or 93, somewhere around there.
Okay, more recent than I thought.
I'm probably like completely wrong. It's somewhere around there. I don't know the exact year. I enjoy the series. I don't care too much about the history. But yeah, I mean, like just the sets are definitely more aged. They're a lot more simple. The concepts tend to be a lot simple, and also like just the ideology of the show is a lot different,
right?
And the direction of it.
Well, I know for sure the action set pieces are definitely not as good, not as convincing. I've seen some very bad clips of Kirk being on some planet punching some alien.
The lizard guy?
It might be the lizard guy, yeah. He's sort of dressed like Fred Flintstone, I think.
Yeah. I believe that's the episode Arena, where Kirk and this alien race are fighting, and then some third, like, almost omnipotent race beams both captains down to the planet for a death match. And it's just this giant lizard.
Yeah, I think that does ring a bell. I feel like I did read the description, and it was something like that.
It's very funny. I can choose to top deck the curse that's in my...
All right, that's what you want.
in my graveyard. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I guess I reshuffled.
Now, I'm very, very much a casual viewer of Star Trek, TNG at least. Whenever I would stay at my aunt's house, they're fans of it, my uncle in particular, but it's something they like having on in the morning. So it's either usually TNG or this is kind of funny to watch in the morning, but Law and Order SVU. It's exactly what I need when I'm eating breakfast, is to hear about all these victims of sexual assault.
Special victims unit.
Yeah. So, as someone who didn't grow up knowing too much about it, and I'm pretty sure I probably saw the modern movies before I saw a full episode of Star Trek, the lack of action was a bit of a surprise, but not an unwelcome one. I did like that it's...
Isn't that like a meme or something? A surprise, but a welcome one.
Probably.
Everything is.
Yeah, like I like the fact that TNG is more about humanity and sort of philosophy and that sort of thing. There are some weird episodes of TNG, like time traveling like the Old West. I've seen some episodes like that.
That's like that's my least favorite part about Star Trek in general, because like the problem is there is a lot here about philosophy, and it's just really with a sci-fi coat of paint on it.
Right.
But it's also made for like old men in the 2000s or the 90s or whenever.
Right.
So like they like Westerns.
That's true.
Gene Roddenberry's like, oh, let's do a Western fucking thing.
Does that mean then the most recent Star Trek show is targeted to us, people our age? So like I don't know what they're doing with their show, but I wonder what they're doing in terms of when TNG was doing Old West episodes. I wonder what the modern show is doing now.
Yeah, I can just imagine a kid like watching like an episode of TNG where they go into the holodeck and they're back in the Old West, and they'd be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
like Worf, the Klingon's got like a sheriff's hat on. It's like, what the hell is?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and that stuff I can't really like. It's funny, like looking back on it, but I ended up skipping over a couple of like. There's a couple episode types that I don't like, and when there's a show that gets this big, there's bound to be a lot of them. One of them is the sort of time travel thing, which I'm just not a fan of in general. Concept of it, because it's never really done well, and if it's done well, it's done confusingly.
That's true. It's overdone, and typically the really good ones are the sort of intent is to fuck with your mind a bit.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like that, at least in my experience, that doesn't lend itself to a good narrative.
No, I mean, I think we were talking about this recently because I had watched Tenet, and we were talking about that.
Right. Yes.
And
yes.
The fact that some of these stories or movies rely on messing with your head, it can sort of mask its flaws.
Yes.
So
yeah,
like
they can have loopholes, and they inevitably will. But you're just so confused, you're not going to call it out.
Yeah, the whole time travel thing. People are like, whoa, it was them all along. And then that part of it is just so, it dominates the way you think about the movie that you don't really think about its flaws.
Yeah. Well, luckily, in the case of Star Trek, these things are generally. Man, you're a real jerk. Let's get rid of that.
For those who haven't realized, when we play a militia, the other player does have to discard cards. That's why we have to stop what we're talking about occasionally.
Because every time I talk, Ray plays a militia. The nice thing about I guess all the Star Trek that I've watched basically is that you can sort of skip over the episodes you don't like if you really, which I really didn't do, except for ones that were like entirely in a holodeck. So like none of it was real, basically, or there's a lot of alternate universe ones, which actually the original series, which had the first episode that was sort of like that, called Mirror Mirror, was actually probably my favorite one out of most of them. Maybe Deep Space Nine had an okay one or two, but it gets excessive when you have to keep track of like your characters' personalities, but also their alternate worlds' personalities, and then like what dynamics are going on over there. It's like I'm not really too interested.
Yeah.
Especially if it doesn't like impact the main plot in a major way. But luckily, like the overarching story of Star Trek through those 3 series, it's not really affected by those offshoot episodes much. If anything, there might be a little bit of character development, but it's not really about the main story. But all that to say, I guess I got distracted. The original series was rough to get into after coming from TNG and Deep Space Nine.
Right.
Not just how old everything looked, which it's great because Amazon Prime has it's like remastered or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also clear compared to what you would have seen on TV. So like every time there's action, people, well, not every time, but most times people have stunt doubles.
Right.
And there's an episode I watched where there's like an extended sequence in a fight where it's Kirk's stunt double.
And it's obvious.
You're seeing him head on. You see his face, and he's on screen for like 30 seconds. It's just a different guy. But if you were watching back in the day on your CRT, like,
right,
you probably wouldn't have noticed. But seeing it here, it was so funny because it's just like a completely different person. Other people, sometimes it's just like the back of their head. You're like, oh, that could be someone else, but it looks similar enough.
Right.
But yeah, this was just a completely different guy for like 30 seconds at a time, multiple times. It was very funny. Things like that actually make it more enjoyable, though, so I'm not complaining.
I mean, yeah, it's, I guess, like you said, on the older TVs, probably not as noticeable, but definitely.
Yeah. When I'm watching it at home with my HD streaming.
Yeah, exactly. God, I always get 7. Shit.
Yeah, it's you're always gonna have 7 or like 5. Although 5 is pretty good on this board.
I'm gonna split it up with a village and a poacher.
Yeah, you're creating a little fairy tale story there. You got a village.
Exactly.
And a poacher. But overall, like, it was just hard to get into. Like, it's very just because it is so long ago, it's sort of dry to get into. I feel like I've said dry a lot. Oh God, now I have only 1 action. I have 3 action cards. How do I want to attack you?
Attack me with... what's that line? I can't remember. Is it a Game of Thrones thing?
Oh.
We will attack you with the north? No, that's not it.
We will attack you with the north.
The north. You know what I'm talking about? It's some movie. Some movie says, we will attack you with the something. They're not naming a weapon. They're naming an area.
I don't know. You've lost me on that one.
All right, fair enough.
But
7.
It's just kind of weird.
Sorry.
We'll attack you with a 7. Yes. It's from a poker movie. Yeah, like it compared to TNG and then Deep Space Nine, like, there's really no character development at all in really like almost all of the first season of the original series. Like, they don't really introduce people. They're just kind of there. And they have some personality, but not that much of it. Yeah, basically. And then as time goes on, like, I started writing down like episodes that I liked because I regretted not doing that for the other series because they're quite long. So it's nice to remember like which episodes I actually liked, so I didn't have to like watch through all of it.
Right.
I'd raise you a 10 to your 7. I've got 3 buys, but I really I'll just buy the province.
Gotta maneuver my way out of this now.
Yeah, this game is making me take forever on my point with the original series, but yeah, they just like introduce people to the show, but never introduce them to the audience. Like, they just show up one season.
Mm-hmm.
Like in season 2, this guy Chekhov just shows up. He's never introduced. They never say what his position is. You just kind of have to like pick up on it.
Right.
So yeah, everybody also dies a lot more. There are a lot more. I mean, that's where like the joke. I'm sure you heard of a red shirt.
Yeah.
Like a red shirt dying.
They're sort of like the stormtroopers of the Star Trek world.
Right. Exactly. Like these people are just. Whenever you see a non-main character accompany the main characters on a mission, you're like, oh, they're gonna die. There's just no other reason for them to be here. But even just in the tone of the show in general, outside of those things, is much different. And what's a recent example of, I'm not finished with the original series. I'm probably about halfway through the second season, and there's only 3 seasons actually, which is kind of funny.
Of the original?
Yeah,
that's it.
Which is why I ended up deciding to watch it, because I didn't really want to.
Mm-hmm.
But then I saw that it was only 3 seasons of like 25 episodes.
Right.
Or no, I think it might be like 28 or 29. So I'm like, screw it, I'll watch it. But it's sort of a difference in philosophy in terms of this and the later series, because just gotta play my witch. Basically later on, especially in TNG, they talk about the Prime Directive a lot, which is basically to not interfere with other life that hasn't achieved space travel, basically. So you're not supposed to beam down to a planet of natives, primitives, and tell them that you're God or something. Anything that would affect their growth as like a culture. But in the original series, that's not really a thing. Like sometimes they mention like, oh, the non-interference clause. I can't remember what they call it. Sometimes they bring it up, but generally,
like when a genie tells you can't change people's will.
Do genies do that? I feel like they
depends on the
he changed people's will in Aladdin.
Does he?
Isn't Jafar gonna wish to fuck Jasmine or something? It's been a long time.
Well, no. Jafar like basically kidnaps her, but he because of his wishes, he puts himself in the best position to do so, making him a prince, making him a whatever.
I got so bored of Aladdin, I started focusing on the game. Yeah, shut the fuck up. But what's also interesting is that generally Star Trek is sort of like I wouldn't say it's like an anti-religion show, but it's sort of.
But it is.
I mean, not really anti, but it's just like in the. Oh, I'm waiting to gain a card. I didn't even realize. Top deck card. It's just like humanity has sort of reached a point where they're like. I feel like this is controversial when you say now. Well, at least in this universe, humanity is more or less reached a point where they don't require religion, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not. Should I talk about this? I don't know. I feel like I should cut that part out.
Just give a brief synopsis, so we get what the idea. We don't necessarily have to go down the path.
Is it like a Mandalorian thing, like follow the path or some shit?
This is the way.
This is the way. Yeah. But I say all this to say, basically, they're non-religious in
Right.
Star Trek. But in the original series, there's an episode about I have only 4. About it's so tacky. They find this guy who claims to be Apollo, like the
Creed?
Greek god. Yeah, this guy who claims to be Apollo Creed. But he's actually the son of Apollo, and it's that new movie.
Adonis.
Oh, is his name Adonis?
Yeah.
That's actually funny because the name of the episode
Is
is Who Mourns for Adonis.
Oh.
So that's kind of funny.
It's a decent sounding name. It's just funny that, you got Apollo and you got Adonis.
But during that episode, basically Captain Kirk tells him that humanity doesn't have need for gods anymore. Because in this universe, the Greek gods were just like advanced space beings who came to Earth, and so we thought they were gods.
Oh, okay.
So he basically says humanity doesn't have any need for gods anymore. Look how far we've come. And I was like, wow, that's quite an out there statement for
show in the 60s?
For a show in the 60s, right?
I was going to say, yeah.
But then he goes, just the one is enough. And I burst out laughing.
See, I think if it was made today, you probably wouldn't say that.
Well, no, like Picard has said like a bunch of times, like, yeah, like what the fuck do we need religion for? In more eloquent words.
I'm just imagining Patrick Stewart. What the fuck do we need religion for?
Oh, why'd I put a poacher on top? I can't play it this turn. Well, either way, I win the game.
Oh, dude, I had no chance there. I was like, I kept getting 7s, and I looked up and I'm like, oh, there's only one province left anyway. And we get the loser music going. Alright, new game.
But it's funny that I was watching the original series because I also started playing The Outer Worlds, and there's a line of dialogue an NPC says it's actually a line Spock says in the original series that I recognized, and so I was like, oh, that's kind of a neat little reference, and it's kind of crazy that I was
watching it soon before.
Yeah, watching that. It was maybe like a day or two before, and then I played the game, and I was like, whoa, that's weird.
What's the line?
Spock's talking about he's talking to a girl, and basically he says, if there are self-made purgatories, then we all have to live in them. Mine can be no worse than someone else's. So that's basically Spock saying, God, I'm miserable, but I'm going to be logical about it. Which is basically his character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started playing The Outer Worlds, which I had been waiting waiting for it not to be an Epic exclusive. Yeah, it's over a year now. And it's not necessarily that I'm like super like anti-Epic or anything, because like I take advantage of their free games.
Oh yeah, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten a lot of free game, like stuff like I never would have been able to. Well, not that I wouldn't be able to, but I played Subnautica because it was free on Epic.
Oh yeah, and you're telling me about that.
That was a really fun game. I really liked that. It was a really freaky game for me. But all I have to say, I mean, I'm not an Epic fanboy or a hater. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I was actually thinking about this, not to get too far off topic, but I was thinking about you know, free, especially games, because games are interesting because like it doesn't really cost anyone anything if it's a digital copy of a game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, besides like having to maintain the download servers and any sort of like updates or whatever that might happen. But which is the excuse a lot of people use for pirating. That's not really what I'm doing here, but it's interesting to think about why they give away things for free. And I think I was in the shower and I thought about this, the idea that by giving away games for free, Epic is potentially, and just, I mean, with the pure scale of it, is most certainly taking money away from rival platforms.
Yeah.
Because if they get a game for free from Epic, then they're probably not going to buy it on Steam, let's say.
No. And
I hadn't really thought about that before. Like, obviously, I knew they were giving things away for free so people would use their platform. And that's the main draw. But I didn't think about that. It's like not necessarily, I mean, if it is losing the money, it's also
losing other platforms' money.
Yeah, they're basically spending money to sabotage another platform to make it less successful,
right?
Which is kind of interesting.
That's true. Yeah.
And I say sabotage. I mean, I don't hold anything against them. I mean, it's a free market, but I don't know. I just thought that was funny. But I'm playing The Outer Worlds, and you've played The Outer Worlds.
Yep, I played it not too long after it came out. Can't remember exactly when, but yeah, I played it. I never played Fallout, but it did give me a lot of Fallout vibes.
Yes. If I'll be honest, a bit too much. It's giving me too many Fallout vibes.
Yeah. It seemed very similar, and that's coming from someone who never played Fallout.
Yeah. I mean, Fallout has certainly affected the direction of many games, but it is very much a clone, I would say. But not to say that it's a bad game, because I've been enjoying myself.
You're not done yet, are you, with the game?
No.
Okay.
So I will ask you to mind your spoilers, because I will be honest. I sort of do like the story and the dialogue. I think that's like the best part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Which I've never been that interested in
other games,
like Fallout or Elder Scrolls or stuff like that.
Right.
Which in a way, I mean, this is sort of fundamentally different, even though it sort of has that sort of gameplay feel. But I'm buying so much gold. Because the worlds are sort of like their own little like levels. It's not really an open world game per se, which is a big difference between the Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and then Outer Worlds. Is that this is sort of like it's just got these little areas. But with some things I don't like so much about the game, I do actually find myself enjoying the dialogue a lot. I think. Did you feel the same way? Because I know that's something that I feel like you care about more than me.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like, I harp on a lot about characters making choices and dialogue like that. And like I said, I'm a fan of the Telltale games. So the dialogue was definitely a plus for me. And gameplay wise, like, I'm not super well versed, but it was fun to play. The combat was interesting. I think the only thing that sort of I would critique the game for is how easy it is to get around certain situations, it seems.
Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a big complaint I have.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm sure we talked about this already. Someone speed ran the game, and finished it in less than 20 minutes. And obviously that means that the game does have multiple endings, so you do limit yourself to the endings you can get with the speed run. But still, the fact that you can finish this game, which is essentially a AAA title. I know it's not, but it's sort of in that vein.
Right.
The fact that you can is sort of, I don't know what the right word is. Is it a mistake? An oversight?
I mean, I wonder if the speedrun uses glitches or not. If it
No,
doesn't,
they just pretty much ignore certain missions. You just zip past through. Like this one's not a spoiler because this is basically the first thing they did. Is you land on a planet. I can't remember what exactly it was.
Spoilers.
And then there's the soldier, right, in like the cave. And you can help him, give him a gun or something like that.
Oh, yes.
So basically, and then there's after you exit that cave, there are the soldiers fighting the aliens. You can help them too. Mm-hmm. Basically, what this person did was went straight for the ship and flew away. No dialogue.
Well, how did they? That's why I feel like it has to be glitched, because if they fly away straight away, you need to get a power converter before you can fly. That's like the
can't remember. Maybe it's you just have to get on the ship first, and then you have to find out about the power converter, and then you do that.
Maybe. Yeah, they probably went and did the other stuff too.
Yeah, so they just went straight into the ship, went out, got the power converter, came back, flew away, did whatever. It's funny, and it was funny watching the developers watch that video, and you could see their souls kind of dying as it happened.
That is sort of a more recent thing, is that whenever a game comes out, people have developers watch a speed run.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will say it does seem like it's easy to get around things, like you were saying, and then also the game in general seems kind of easy.
Yeah, it's not the hardest game.
No, because I'm playing on hard mode, and there is like Supernova above that, but sort of like adds extra restrictions beyond difficulty, like limiting your number of saves and where you can save and stuff like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
And like companions permanently dying, that sort of thing.
I think that would make it way more interesting.
Well, the problem is, if that's anything like hard mode, because companions just die all the time, because they don't take cover. They don't have self. What do you call that? I was about to say self-perseverance, self-preservation.
Yeah. Maybe perseverance as well. They could use some.
Yeah, they won't persevere being alive. They just die like every fight. I mean, you can change their behavior to be like more ranged or whatever, or like to stay back, but then they're not really helping you. But yeah, even on hard, like if you prepare for combat at all, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm stuck in that.
Yeah. You buy that province, you lose.
But I only have one purchase, so if I get a duchy, that's kind of a waste. But this has been like a no action card game for me. I've just been getting gold. I've probably been making the wrong build the entire time. Don't do it. Okay.
Oh,
you're really gonna start taking away my victory points.
I should have gone for a duchy. Just realized. Oh no. Oh, he's doing it.
He's starting to believe. But yeah, like if you prepare for combat at all, it's like very easy. And then the way that leveling up works, it sort of seems easy to have good like combat skills, but still level up all the personality skills. Because like when you put points in up to 50, you get points in like persuade, lie, and intimidate.
Yeah.
So especially early on, like even if you don't really have any points in them, you're able to succeed on those checks in dialogue.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like, damn, I'm on 7. That's a bad time to get 7. And I feel like I can't afford to. Yeah, I can't afford not to keep doing that.
Diluting your deck, though.
Hey, man, that's.
Oh, no! My screen, my screen went away, and then I clicked on.
Oh, I have 7 again.
Oh, thank God!
Oh my God!
The suspense.
You better not get it. You better not get it this turn. I'm gonna scream.
Oh man!
I feel bad though. You got that misclick.
There we go.
All right, I don't feel bad. Fuck you.
There we go. Yeah, so whenever I put my cursor too high up, it becomes a normal tab.
Oh, yeah.
So it pushed my mouse down. What were we saying? Too easy, no perseverance.
Yeah, no will live. There goes that train. Can you hear that?
Yeah. I heard the tracks going, and then he said, "There goes that train."
I did like the arm movement out my window to pull down on the horn. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying myself, sort of like we were talking about with X-Files, sort of like in a mindless way, where it's like, I like the grind. I like taking advantage of games.
Rise and grind.
Rise and grind. I like taking advantage of sort of like janky games and like using their own systems against them.
Right.
So that's always fun. So I even enjoy like bad games, and this isn't a bad game, but stuff like the dialogue being too easy to abuse. Of course, like every game that has gunplay, being a stealth sniper is just overpowered.
Yeah.
You can just deal the most damage whilst also avoiding harm. That's what I did a lot in the Fallout games, and even like in the Elder Scrolls games, I did that a lot with a bow.
Is Outer Worlds the game where if you make your character really dumb, they basically don't even know how to speak?
They have limited dialogue options. I think it had a feature like that, because when you're first creating your character, you can like go below average in certain stats.
Yeah.
Which give you like certain effects. But if it does, it's certainly not the first, because I mean Fallout did that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember. I can't really remember what build I went for.
I find it hard to believe that you would have gone for bad dialogue.
Probably not. I just remember hearing or seeing a game where if you make your character below average or below the starting point for its intelligence, they literally didn't really know how to speak.
I think Fallout 4 did that as well. I mean, obviously the earlier Fallout games, but I'm thinking of like things that came out more
right
recently. I have 2 estates. But I sort of like
gold. Sorry.
The world building generally. It's sort of a bit sparse compared to those games.
Yeah.
I will say, like, these are kind of silly things, but they do affect things, like the fact that there's no like day or night cycle. The fact that like NPCs don't have routines like they do in you know, on Fallout or in Oblivion or in a Elder Scrolls game.
Mm-hmm.
How easy it is to steal. I've gotten absolutely rich because it is just so easy to steal in front of people.
Oh, that's true. I think I remember stealing off someone who became an ally. Like they were an ally, and then I went behind them and stole from their locker. But because they were facing the other way, they didn't realize.
Yeah. And I mean, I have some of the sneak skill, but it's just like very easy to do.
Yeah.
So it's less compelling in those ways, but overall, the dialogue is pretty good. Like even talking to someone like the non-main NPCs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they sort of suffer from like it's trying to be too witty to sometimes, but I'm actually surprised by how not annoyed I am by the dialogue.
Yeah.
So that's quite a positive. And I mean, I must like it because I put in like 30 hours in the past like 3 days or something.
You must be getting close to the end though, if you've got that many hours. It's not a terribly long game.
I have the feeling that it wasn't going to be super long. Oh yeah, 30.9 hours. But I had a lot of time just doing side content.
Oh, okay.
Which also, it doesn't seem like there's as much side content as in those games that I've mentioned a million times.
Right.
You know, I don't really like that it's not open world, even though open world isn't always the best thing. Like the way that you always run up against the walls of the area.
Mm-hmm.
Like everywhere is in a valley. It's kind of weird. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was certainly worth what I paid for it. I didn't pay full price, but
I might have to revisit the game because it was a while ago. I remember having fun and walking around these sort of abandoned towns like you would in a Western, I guess.
My favorite, no Western.
Yeah. But no, it was definitely a fun game. I put a decent amount of hours to it. I don't think I paid too much attention to the side quest. I might be wrong because I feel like I remember trying to do as many things as I could for the companions.
Right.
Who is it? There's the priest guy. There's the mechanic girl. There's a combat girl who's like drunk all the time.
Yeah. So there's like I just actually got all the companions. So yeah, there's Vicar Max,
right?
Who I don't think is even a priest. He was just in prison.
Yeah.
But he says he was he said he had a mission there or something.
Something like that.
Then there's the mechanic girl, yeah, who you find in the first town.
All right, she's one of the first.
Then, yeah. And I think the first companion that you get. Damn, I'm always on 7. I only have 1 by. Then I think the combat girl who's drunk is, I think Ayanka is her name? Or something some like combination of those letters.
Yeah.
She's from Monarch, the moon. And then I think it's Alex and Ellie from the Groundbreaker, which was like the orbiting trade hub. And then there's Sam, who's like a cleaning robot outfitted with weapons.
Right. Once you fix him, right? You have to fix him first.
Yeah, you have to like find a part because he's already on the ship.
Yeah. And
then you got your unofficial companion, Ada, who's the ship's navigator. I'm trying to see if I can romance. I'm trying to see if I can romance Ada.
I forgot that one of the main plot points is that you stole the ship. It's not your ship.
Right. Yeah. I mean, steal's a harsh word.
Yeah.
Because like the scientist breaks you out of the of cryo because you were on I think
on
the Last Hope or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. You're some sort of superior race of human, and I'm trying to be careful with the way I phrase that.
Yeah, let's stay careful there.
But what? They're stronger and smarter.
They're basically like the best of the best.
Yeah. So
because they were being sent to the colonies to help, repopulate. Basically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that whole aspect of it.
But yeah, so he frees you, and then when he sends you out in the escape pod, the captain who's supposed to be picking you up gets crushed under your escape pod because he stands by the beacon.
Right.
So you end up taking over the ship.
Very Wizard of Oz.
Yes, very much so. Actually, I'm surprised he wasn't wearing like red shoes or something, since they seem to like to make references.
Yeah, that would be funny. There was just a little sidetrack, a little tangent. I was playing Cyberpunk, and very early on, I was doing some side mission where I had to free some Japanese guy. And once you freed him, he gave you his little backstory. And then I just stood there. I'm just sort of like, I didn't know if I liked it or not, but he stood there. And do you remember that episode of The Office where Daryl introduces everyone to the Japanese guy in the warehouse?
I was literally about to say, I don't know why, but when you said tells you his life story, I was about to say I was surgeon number one.
Yep. I don't even know if it's a reference because it was basically word for word. They took that scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and there's like,
funny.
In Japan, number one. I'm just like, is this allowed?
Oh yeah, I mean you can pay homage.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it wasn't like some strenuous mission or anything. It was pretty easy, and it's basically just there to be a reference to The Office. But it definitely took me out of the immersion.
Well, yeah, I felt the same. I felt sort of the same way with the Star Trek reference in Outer Worlds. I like immediately tabbed out of the game and looked it up. Like, wait a minute.
At least it's sort of this. It makes sense though for Outer Worlds to quote Star Trek.
Yeah, how does The Office exist in that world?
Yeah. Any closing remarks?
God is dead. Star Trek told me so.
And with that, that is episode 1 of season 2 of the Mebois Podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, just a funny thing. So I'm obviously recording on OBS for the podcast, and since I have my Twitch overlays and everything here, not on the screen recording, but my chat's here, and I see and someone's typing in chat. People have been chatting, and I'm just like, holy shit, have I been streaming this the entire time? But no, it's a bot, and they're like, good day, what is new? I've checked out your Twitch channel, was pleasantly surprised. Haha, content is awesome though. For Rivia, I'm going to do custom overlay for your stream. Have a look in my site. Best of luck. It's so random and so funny.
So random and so funny. XD.
Yeah, I think it's a bot.
I hope it's a bot, otherwise.
It's kind of weird.
For
Yeah.
Rivia.
And we'll end it there. So random and so funny.